Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome to another SMBAU Power Ranking, our second video for the Power Rankings of our second season, but it's going to be our second to last one as well before the special playoff Power Rankings. We'll get more into that later. The point is, there's 1 week remaining, and, well, I think every team technically is still mathematically in it, obviously some more than others. That being said, a couple changes to the format. One, no longer using music. Not using music this time. I'm not sure the music added anything, and it kind of disrupted the flow, so we're not doing the music. But what we are going to be doing is going through all the teams, their rankings, why they are where they are, and possibly what we can expect to see from them in the future. Now, this is an interesting one because, again, with only 1 week left and, cutting down from 12 teams to 4, it's going to be very, very dramatic. And if you're happening to come across this YouTube video and have no idea what I'm talking about, well, you can follow my Twitch stream at formalcasting, where every single day I've been streaming Super Mega Baseball AI battling with all these teams going at it. And if this is your first time, kind of curious, does that sound interesting to you? AI playing baseball, that sounds kind of bizarre. It's a lot of fun. The point is, come check out the stream, tag along, and you're going to learn about these 12 teams. And who knows, maybe you can pick a favorite. Maybe your favorite will be that 12th ranked team. So going straight into it, at the bottom, last place, not a surprise, actually, if you remember the start of the season, but my number 12 team, Mandalore, sitting at 7-13. Look, Mandalore, they've struggled. Okay, it's been a rough patch for the Mandalore guys out there. They've not really, how should I put this? Their strategy of oops all pitchers has not paid off. And we did say at the start of the season it was going to be a while until this happened. Well, it's finally come through. They're currently in the midst of a 5-game losing streak, which is never a lot of fun. They've averaging only 1 run a game for those past 6 games as well, which might sound, if you're winning 1-0, that's good, but they're not. They've given up 28, in fact, including a big loss to Gamblin, 0-12, most recently, which was a really big blow for this squad. They also lost 1-8 to the Garglers, so some real nasty losses. However, if there is going to be some bright spots on this team, it's actually not in the pitching, it's in the batting. Burn Bullock has been playing pretty outstanding as an individual. 5 home runs, still tied for first, has been slowing down a little bit, so hasn't really been having that same impact as before, but also has 11 individual runs, so tied for second in the league with that. Definitely has been a stronger player, but overall, look, this is that Mandalore team we were afraid to see. They don't have the depth. If the batting goes cold, there's no way to really knock them out of it, so they're kind of knocked out of it as well. Still in the running for a wild card spot if all the planets align. They are an F tier. They're one of 2 teams in F tier, the other one being our rank 11 team. So for Mandalore, playoff hopes, percentage chances, I'm giving it like a 0.2. They're not getting through. They're not a playoff team. Sorry, Mandalore. You're probably done. Moving right along, though, number 11, we have our other F-tier team, Shockwave. Also sitting at 7-13, a little trend right there. The crazy thing about Shockwave is they are on a 6-game losing streak, so 1 more than Mandalore, which normally you would think, oh my gosh, Shockwave's actually not in that spot. Trust me, it was close. It was a tough sort of decision, but I had to go back to when they played a while ago to determine who's above who. Shockwave technically has beaten Mandalore recently, so I guess you put Shockwave on top, but really they're interchangeable. They have scored 1 run in the past 6 games. Only 1. But they've only allowed 20, which I guess is 8 less than Mandalore, which actually I think gives them a better run differential than Mandalore over the past 6 games, which you did it. If I'm to name any positives for this team, Hugh Blackwell, actually, the pitcher. 9th in the league in whip with 1.17. That's pretty good. You should be winning games where, your pitcher is putting that kind of effort in, but they're not because they're not scoring. The bats are just super cold. So sorry, Shockwave, you are in 11th, not in 12th. I feel like by the end of the season, you could be 12th if you continue this form. Really not looking good. Playoffs, no, not happening. I don't see Shockwave getting in there. Sorry, Shockwave, you're pretty toasted. Number 10, though, our lone D-ranked team from Queensland, Ocean Song. And yeah, okay, the 6-15 record, not great. and the team really hasn't been playing great. Like, look, they're still bad. They're still not a good team. At 10 right now. Oh, it's kind of weird with the chair. I can move the chair like that. There we go. Yeah, number 10. Not the best. I mean, but here's the thing, and the reason why they're not at the bottom, 5-0 win over the Wild Roddy Pack. That's a statement win. And that's more than what you could say for, I think, both Shockwave and Mandalore in terms of where they're sitting right now. Like, that was pretty big. They also beat Shockwave 2-0, so you got to kind of compare that. Other than those two wins, though, it's really not been great. But here's the crazy thing, right? They actually have a positive run differential over the past 8 games, even though they've gone 3-5 over them. Like when they win pretty decently. So I think there's still the semblance of that old Ocean Song that went to the championship there, but not in spades. Where it is, though, it is in their pitching, actually. Like, the reason why they have that positive run differential isn't because they're hitting. Well, it is because of their pitching. And while not necessarily atop the league, their pitchers have been doing pretty well. Jose Bonavente, still probably their ace. .267 on base average for, strikers, 7th in the league. 19 strikeouts, actually, 2nd in the league. So Jose kind of putting up right there. Callan Benitez is still pretty solid. 14 strikeouts to their name, tied for 7th overall. Harmony Rossi has a 2.45 ERA. That's 7th overall. So you can see, like, the pitching. They have 3 pitchers that are hitting, like, a top 10 in a key stat. Jose Bonavente actually is pretty decent overall. So the pitching is good. It's the batting that just has not been there. In fact, I think they've been shut out like 3 times in their past 8 games, and that's not good enough when you want to play some playoff baseball. I think they're kind of too far out of the running at this stage at 6-15. Even if they win out 13-15, not going to cut it. So sorry, Ocean Song. I'm not feeling you get into the playoffs. You had a good run, but well, not really. Actually, you had a pretty terrible run. But on to next season, though. You're already making cuts for the next season. You're already looking ahead. So I guess credit there where credit is due. Number 9, moving on to our next one. And this is a shocker. Probably the biggest drop. Now, they are in C tier. So I'm going to call them a C tier team at this stage. But the Crowns, from 3 to 9, 6 placement drops. Dramatic. Yes. Deserved. Absolutely. This team has fallen apart. I do not know what has happened. Their pitching is up in smokes. Their batting has gone cold. They have lost 5 games in a row. They have scored 5 runs in their past 6 games. It is a disaster for the Crowns. Nothing's going good. And they're not even good losses. 0-9 to Sky Fracture, 1-6 to Wild Roddy. These are the teams that they're competing with, right? Like, they're the teams that they want to be equal with, and they're just getting blown out by them. It's not been pretty. If it wasn't for their win against the Counter-Strikers, I think there's a chance they could have even been below Ocean Song right now. When you look at their standings, that seems kind of crazy, but that's just where we're at with the Crowns. Now, Aiden Mackey is still in the running for an MVP. Still tied for first in home runs with 5, tied for first in RBIs with 11, tied for second with extra base hits with 7, tied for 7th in runs with 9. Like, Aiden Mackey is producing and has had a strong season, but there's been no backup for him. It's just been the Aiden Mackey show. Chiefly Hurley has 6 extra base hits, tied for 6 overall. Like, that's okay. Like, but when that's it for your offensive production, your team is going to struggle. And Crowns have definitely seen that. They went from 10-5 to 10-10, and that's just inexcusable. So, sorry, Crowns. C tier, still in the playoff running, and they still could be a threat. If they get hot again, look out. The Crowns can be that surprise team, but they're not right now. Right now, they're terrible. They're garbage. So, they're at number 9. C tier and above, though, means, hey, you're still in that playoff running. You could still make it. I can see a world where you get hot. And I think they could do it. Well, for the most part, actually, because my number 8 team, I think, has been eliminated from the playoffs. But I'm giving it to Haunts at 8-14 in that next spot. And they almost went on that run. They had a nice streak this last week where they won 5 in a row, and we were starting to look at Haunts and be like, oh, maybe. But then they ran into the Counter-Strikers, and it all went up in smoke. But look, hey, big wins over Mandalore. They got it done. Got a win over Wild Roddy, 3-0. That's pretty good. A 7-4 win over Sky Fracture. They beat Night Fury 6-5. I mean, when they win, they put up points. But if you shut down their bats like the Counter-Strikers did, like Ocean Song did, then the team really does shut down. So, again, realistically, mathematically, they're eliminated. They showed us some of those flashes of brilliance of why they were a dangerous team. They've had a positive run differential over the past week, but overall, they're not there. So, you got to look at the individuals for those bright spots for next season. Jordan Rosas, top 4 in both batting average and on-base percentage, .517, .548 respectively. Pippi Lara tied up there with the 5 home run gang, tied for first, which is pretty sick. Also has 10 runs, tied for fourth in that regard. And Royce Jones tied for 6th in extra base hits at 6. And considering they're not really a home run hitter, that kind of makes that stat a little bit more impressive. So they've got a nice core of batting. It's just the consistency really wasn't there for them this season. It came through too little too late. They're sitting in 8th. They're not really going to make it out, but they are a C-tier team, I think. They've earned that title for now. As has our next team. Speaking of, teams with finals projections that have come to disappoint, number 7, it's Sky Fracture. I don't know what I think about this team because I look at this team and it's like, why isn't it working? You have an amazing pitching core. You have consistent batters, but they're never on pace with each other. And I think, the past week of games, they only played 5, so it's a smaller pool to work with, but it really, listen to these score lines, okay? They lose 5-9 to Gamblin to come back and win 9-0 against Crowns. 4-3 against Redliners win, but then they lose the next games against Redliners 5-6 in 2 games that had way too many extra innings. Then they lose 4-7 to Haunts. In 5 games, they've scored the most runs this week and allowed the most runs against them. Their games have just been bombastic and chaotic. And unfortunately, chaos doesn't breed lasting success. Do they make fun games? Absolutely. If you're going to watch any game, I think a Sky Fracture game is a good one to watch, but they're just not, it's not how you win this league, unfortunately. Some key players, though. On the pitching side, Nash Curley has a 2.4 ERA. That's pretty good. And when you're looking for consistency, that's the consistency you want to get. Magnus Longbottom actually tied for 7th in strikeouts right now at 14, but it feels like he either strikes a batter out or the batter just jacks one off of him. So, it's not the best for Sky Fracture. They're still sitting even, though. They're still in the playoff running, and I don't want to count them out. They have potential to get a massive run differential if they get hot with the way how their bats have been playing. So we'll see. We'll see if they keep it together. But Sky Fracture, at number 7, C-tier team for now, could turn it around. If you're going to do that, though, you've got to beat this number 6 team. Going to the B-tier teams as well. Our first one, ranked number 6, the Redliners, sitting at 11-9, and this team has been a very pleasant surprise. I had big questions about their pitching coming in. It's lived up to it. This team has just really exceeded a lot of expectations all aboard, and they've got some good wins. 4-0 win over Night Fury, pretty strong. 6, again, that series with Sky Fracture, crazy, entertaining to watch. Got a nice win over the Crowns as well, 2-0. But, this is a team that could be that playoff team. I'm wearing red for a reason. I think the tools are there. They're a little bit lower on the power ranking because they struggled in the early bits of the season, but it does feel like they're getting hot and turning it around and really working as that slightly above average team. Bro Ray, batting-wise, an argument can be made he should be MVP right now. .594 batting average, .629 on base percentage, second in the league in both those stats. 19 hits has him third in the league. 6 extra base hits has him tied for 6. The man has been consistent, and we haven't really seen that wane at all. And when you look at the pitching, too, it's been solid. But it's been spread out solid. Nico Platoon, top 10 ERA with a 2.84, tied for 8th specifically. On-base opponents batting average as well, .271, 10th in the league in that regards. Bianca Singleton, 8th in the league in whip with a 1.14, .245 opponents batting average. That's tied for 5th. 16 strikeouts, 4th. She is not supposed to be their ace, but has been showing up as it, which has been good to see. And then, Hedwig Picornio, who is their ace, still sitting at a 1.19 whip, which is 10th in the league. So they have 3 strong pitchers who have been putting in good numbers. I don't really know why it hasn't connected for more wins with this team yet, but they are strong. They're consistent from top to bottom, and they are a threat to take that wild card spot. So don't sleep on these guys. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of Redliners in the future. They have a chance to come in strong. 8 games for them remaining. If they can win, even if they go even on that, they might be able to sneak into that wild card spot. So eyes on the Redliners. I could actually see them going one above even, maybe like, in those final 8 games going 5-3, in which case, 16-14, that could, I'm sorry, 16-12, that could do it. That could do it. 5-3 could do it. We'll see. We'll see. The Redliners are a threat. But we move on to number 5. And this is an interesting one. Our second Queensland team all the way up at number 5. Wow, that's surprising. The Night Fury. Yeah, my team. I have us at number 5, despite currently leading Queensland, actually. So make it that one what you will. But yeah, the Night Fury, it wasn't the best week for the Night Fury. We still won 4 games and lost 3, so we've been continuing that consistency of winning 4, losing 3 each week. That's one up, one up, one up. That gets you to 12-9. Some interesting losses, though. I mean, the loss against the Counter-Strikers was particularly painful. That one was winnable. Kind of threw it away. Similar, the loss against Hans, great rally to come back into it, and then just couldn't lock it down in those extra innings. I think the depth in the bullpen, like the bullpen's a problem for Night Fury. They got decent bats. They've got strong starting pitchers. But once you get into that bullpen, you can really kind of light the Night Fury up. But, hey, they're atop Queensland right now. Big series win against the Garglers. That was pretty good. So they're going to be sitting 12-9, looking pretty. Caden Playtiff, argument can be made MVP in terms of the batting sides of things. Best in the league in batting average and on-base percentage at 600 and 636 respectively. 18 hits, has him 4th overall. Kelvin Smacks, by the way, tied for first place in stolen bases right now. So there you go. Hasn't really been the greatest hitter this season, but when he gets on, he's been able to steal some bases. Pitching-wise, Bryson Hurls has been hurt too much to really be the one to focus on. So you look at Hassan Sesame with his 2.84 ERA, tied for 8th in the league. You look at Jasmine Porkman, a 1.11 whip, 7th in the league, a .267 opponent's batting average, that's 8th in the league. So every starting pitcher on this team is actually a tough beat. But when you get past the starting pitcher, the team just crumbles. You gotta outlast Night Fury. But if you do, you're probably going to beat them. If they can hold on to that top spot in Queensland, we'll see. It was a big series win against the Garglers. That's going to help them a lot. We'll see how it plays out, though, because there's still a lot of games left, and things can get crazy. Speaking of crazy, you all thought I was crazy when I put these guys at 2 last time. Well, I've dropped them down to 4 now. It's the Wild Roddy Pack. Don't let that 15-6 record fool you. The Wild Roddy Pack, they have been interesting. Like, they were winning game, boom, 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 boom. But their past few games, things have started to get really shaky for them. A loss against Haunt 0-3. A loss against Ocean Song 0-5. A loss against the Garglers 2-7. Those are not good losses. Those are pretty ugly losses. And it comes from the pitching. The pitching on this team was solid for so long, but it's starting to fall apart. And yes, the bats are good. But again, like, if you're going into these batting duels consistently, I don't think you consistently win these games. But their batting has been strong, all right? Let's not overlook that. Reese Hill, killing it right now. Again, another player that you can look at. Are they an MVP candidate? I don't know. I mean, they're 9th in batting average, tied for 2nd in RBIs, 10 RBIs. That's pretty massive. 16 hits, tied for 6th. 10 runs, tied for 4th. Like, he's in the top 10 in, like, every important stat, but not really high on them except for in the RBI one. I don't know. Lawson Novak, also 4.67 batting average, 10th in the league. He's up there as well. Alonso Ventura has 11 RBIs. That's tied for 1st. Pat Barnett up there, 4 stolen bases, actually 3rd of the stolen bases front, which is pretty funny, but she also has 11 runs, which is tied for 2nd. So, like, the offense is clicking for this team. But where's the defense? Where's the pitching? That's what's holding them back right now. We'll see if they can put it back together, Wild Roddy. I mean, you're pretty safe atop that Victorian division. A 4-game lead over the Redliners, pretty good. Can you hold it? I don't know. So, top 3. Whew. And by the way, we're out of B tier. We're in A tier now. We are in the teams that should be in the playoffs, which is why I laugh that Night Fury is ahead of these guys. Gambling at number 3, 13-10. And I think this is going to be the biggest threat and most likely team to win the Queensland division right now. I'm leaning on Gambling. As much as it hurts me to say it, but Gamlin is on a roll. When I said that before that Skyfracture scored the most runs, that wasn't actually true. I'm sorry, I forgot. I forgot who the real big scores of the week were. Granted, they've played a lot of games over the past week. I mean, they only have 5 games left, where other teams still have a lot. So that's why I kind of take the runs they've scored up to grasp. But the thing about this team is when they win big. All right, we're looking 9-5 win over Skyfracture, 9-1 win over Shockwave, 12-0 win over Mandalore, 8-4 win over Ocean Song. They just put on the points when they are clicking. And they've been clicking more so than not. They're currently on a 4-game win streak, all right? So let's not sugarcoat things and say, oh, these guys probably aren't that good, like they're hot and cold. No, they are hot right now, and that is scary going into the postseason. Why are they hot? Atticus Kelly. Atticus Kelly, 6th in the league in batting average at .488. Tied for first in RBIs at 11. Alone in 7th, in on-base percentage at .512. 20 hits, tied for first. 10 runs, 4th in the league. Atticus Kelly has been a monster and is still, is my opinion, the best offseason acquisition. You also have Braden Porpeda up there, 16 hits. He's tied for 6th. Bailey Freeman, 7 extra base hits, tied for 2nd. Vern Pratt scored 9 runs on this season. But what makes this team the complete package is they got the pitching to back it up. A duo that has just been tearing through everybody right now for back-to-back wins. We're talking Genesis Sosa and Gray Gomez. Sosa, 4th in ERA, 4th in whip, 4th in on-base opponent's batting average, I should say, 3rd in strikeouts at 18. And right behind Sosa, Gray Gomez, 5th in ERA, 5th in whip, tied for 5th in opponent's batting average. And, well, you know what? Ashley is better than Genesis Sosa on the strikeouts with 15. This pitching duo is dangerous. So the fact that the Gamblin have that to back it up, you got hot batters, some hot pitchers. Gamblin, my pick to win Queensland. But who gets the wild card then? Well, we're going to find out. Actually, to be quite honest right now, my wild card pick is probably going to be the Redliners. I think it is going to be Gamblin Redliners, which unfortunately means our number 2 team might actually miss out on that one. But it's kind of crazy to think, though. If they didn't have that bad start of the season, like this number 2 team could be it. But at number 2, I have it really is a case where Genesis Sosa has just been absolutely carrying this team pitching wise, and has really been, that player to look out for. Genesis Sosa, 4th in ERA, 4th in whip, 4th in on base percentage, 3rd in strikeouts, and then you have that's Genesis Sosa. I kind of ruined the bit by talking around the wrong pitcher. But Genesis Sosa's been so good for the Gamblin. In reality, Dan Reef Killer was who I was meant to be talking about. 2nd in ERA, 1st in whip, 1st in on opponent's batting average. Man, that was such a good bit, and I'd have to re-record this whole thing. We're not doing that. I show the Garglers no respect. We beat them 2-0. Yeah, they're second on the power rankings. Yeah, it's because, their pitching with Reef Killer and Greer has been insane. Yes, Golder Turner, Lena Slubby, Filament Zoner, all three of these batters have just been knocking it. 6 games won in a row. Garglers on top of the world. Lost to the Night Fury 2-0. We beat them twice. 2-0. 2-0. I want to watch that video again. We're not going to play it again. Point is, Garglers, number 2, but guess what? They're missing the playoffs. Sorry, you blew your chance. Number 1. The only team to have the same power ranking twice in a row. Only one team did it. And you know who it is? The Counter-Strikers. 16-6, number 1 in the league right now. This team is still that raid boss. Yeah, they lost to Gamblin. Yeah, they lost to the Crowns. But outside of that, beat Redliners, beat Ocean Song, beat Shockwave, beat Night Fury, double wins against Haunts. They're just knocking win out of the park. And the thing that's so scary about this team is they're not bombastic wins. They're not dramatic ones. They're just solid. We're going to get a couple runs in, and then we're going to shut you down. How are we going to do that? Again, it's a duo of pitchers. Dana Rehan and Adam Bland. These two have been so consistent in their own pitching right as well. Like going through it, Dana Rehan, first in ERA, first in strikeouts, second in whip, second in opponent's batting average. Adam Bland, third in pretty much everything except for strikeouts where he's 5th, right? Like, these two have been the best pitching duo in the league. It's been disgusting. And then batting-wise, you think, okay, well, if they have strong pitchers, do the bats back it up? Yeah, they do. Jamie Drader, tied for first in hits, third in batting average, third in on-base percentage, tied for second in extra base hits. Braden Keith, a 500 batting average, that's 5th as well, 10 RBIs, 5th in on-base percentage. Whistle Hutchinson, 7th in the league in runs. Aubrey Pinata actually is stealing bases, tied for first with Smacks. Counter-Strikers, they're the number 1 team. They're winning WA. So, to recap, my 4 playoff teams now. I think the Counter-Strikers are going to the playoffs in that number 1 spot, winning WA. Second place, the number 2 team. Wild Roddy has a big enough lead. They should be able to lock down Victoria. Number 3, winning Queensland. I have Gamblin getting it done. So I think they're going to be that 3rd team. And then the wild card spot, number 6 on the power rankings. I like the Redliners. I think the Redliners are going to get that last spot. Queensland's going to go home disappointed. Night Fury is going to blow it against Ocean Chong probably at the end, as we tend to do. And I think the Garglers just had too rough of a start despite how hot they are now. They lost those 2 games they were supposed to win. So that's it. That's my power rankings. Have a good one.